Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dave Mormon, Home Service Business Coach. I'm here in my studio and I'm just hanging out, and I wanted to make a video this week and literally talk about what my morning routine consists of, and also just a few productivity hacks to help you. I've got 15 employees. I'm running multiple companies. I've got 2 managers in place, and I've got some incredible people in my life to help me run an efficient day and have the maximum impact as possible, but also in a way that my companies don't override my personal life. So I kind of wanted to walk you through. We'll keep this video, short, maybe 10 minutes or so. So I'm not going on and on, but want to give you a few practical tips. That's really my goal with this channel and with the podcast, is you can shut it off and be like, man, I actually learned one thing. Someone didn't just jabber on for 45 minutes and I didn't get any specific takeaways. Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. It's been incredible seeing the channel grow. Thank you so much for your support. I want to always bring the value on every single piece of content that I can deliver. So let's dive in, morning routine, right? So for me, I'm getting up maybe 6:30 in the morning, something like that. Literally go and make myself a cup of coffee, let the dog out to do her business, and then I'm pretty much diving into work. I actually delay eating breakfast a lot because I'm literally, if I'm not making a coffee, I'm picking up one of these bad boys from Starbucks like I did today. It's Friday morning, and then I'll delay actually making breakfast because I'm usually, working from home, and so I can eat kind of later when I'm hungry kind of thing. So let the dog out, and then I'll be diving into onto my computer. But a key thing that I do is, productivity is don't check your email, right? I actually do glance at my email, but I'm not diving in, getting into message conversations back and forth. I'll look at my emails, and if I say have 15 emails, I would say I'll look, and maybe 1 or 2 of those I am hey, I'm glad I actually looked at this. The other 12 or 13, I'm I'm gonna leave that so I can batch that later, right? Part of being effective entrepreneur is block scheduling your time and grouping like-minded tasks with like-minded tasks. So for me, email doesn't require a lot of my brain power, so I'm gonna leave that for later in the day. So I'm diving into my 8 priorities, right? And a few of those could be, creating content. I need to have my brain on. Writing my emails, I need to have my brain on. Sometimes I'm rebuilding certain content of our coaching program that needs my brain on as well. And then I also check in with our clients as well in our private community, and respond to members then, because I want to be able to give the best coaching that I possibly can while my brain is sharp. And I'll also, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have my morning coaching calls, and I want those in the morning because, again, that's when my brain is fresh. And as a knowledge worker, I want to be able to bring my best ideas and my best coaching in the morning when my brain is fresh. That's just how my brain goes. You may be an evening person and that works better for you. For me, I love the morning. I think it's the most powerful time of the day. And literally by 12 p.m., 1 p.m., I've already smashed out my big dominoes for the day. And the rest is kind of just a nice to have, okay? So that's what I do in the morning, is jump on those 8 priorities, right? It's just so important. I usually keep my phone, I'm filming on my phone right now, but I usually keep my phone upside down on my desk so I'm not checking it all the time. Social media as well, maybe a check in the morning, but I'm not going back to it, checking who liked or who commented. It's I'm generally leaving that for the day because I don't want to be just getting distracted. And I think, I look at how I'm able to achieve goals. I think literally it's consistency and not getting distracted. That's a huge productivity hack. I think if you do want to have these $1 million habits, you need to conduct yourself with, you want this $1 million lifestyle, you need to conduct $1 million habits. It's just so important, and be super consistent. So then in the afternoon, I'll grab something to eat for lunch. I'm either grabbing a wrap in town or eating leftovers from dinner. I usually eat a bit of a lighter lunch because I just like to eat a little bit lighter throughout the day. And then what I'm doing is then I'm revisiting a lot of things that maybe are less needle moving on the business, right? So this would be checking in with Slack again. Maybe some things come up, checking in with my email. This is when I'll go through those 12, 13 emails and actually reply to them. I'm checking in, my Slack for my other company as well. If things come up there, I'm checking in usually around midday after the 8 priorities have been accomplished. and maybe doing a social media check maybe midday. And then I'm usually planning my like workout, my fitness. I'll work out maybe 3-4 times a week. I'm planning that in like mid to late afternoon-ish, because what I also like to do around noon is usually get outside and just get like 10-15 minutes of fresh air, go take the dog for a walk, leave the phone at home, just have like a little bit of a reset. And so I actually leave my workout till like late afternoon, because I personally don't think like it's fun to work out in the morning, sure, but I like to use my brain power in the morning. And so I find like my workout is almost like this release of like, you've been using your brain so much, now let's go push the body a little bit. And so I find that it's nice to kind of delay that a little bit later in the day, so that I can use my brain power in the morning. That's, again, it just works for me. That's how I like to have it. And then after, if I'm going for a run or lifting weights, after I like to usually do like a soak in our hot tub, maybe sit for like 15-20 minutes, then shower up, and then into dinner and hanging out with my wife and my dog. And it's like, it's a pretty like simple life, honestly, but it's a life that I've created and I honestly love. And I think, you know, I've spent a number of years being so busy and like booking up my evenings and going and like running in a million different directions. And for me now, it's more just about having solid focus and like having like a much simple life. I think through COVID and the pandemic, I really reevaluated like what my priorities are and where I want to be investing my time. And a lot of stuff was just filling up my calendar and not really serving me, and like going to things like I feel like because I need to be going to, like, hey, so-and-so asked to go out for coffee and I feel like it's the right thing to say yes to go and meet them, when really it like wasn't totally what I wanted to be doing. And I think too, especially in a coaching role, me talking all day, filming this content, it gets like quite draining. And I think if you talk most of the day, you don't really want to go like hang out in Starbucks for 2 hours and like talk some more. For me, I actually like need time just like quiet to recharge. So I think like really simplifying my life's been great too. And I encourage you to do that. Like look at what's actually serving you, because as an entrepreneur, the last thing you want in life is to be normal. Like you want to be different. You want to be weird. You want to create your future, right? And so like figure out really what you want to have and then get busy working backwards to achieve that. And like for me, that's what it's come down to, is just having like these really solid habits in my life and having great people in my life, so that I'm able to stick to a routine and actually move the needle on what I want to get done. So kind of wrap up there, but wanted to give you a few things, kind of how I go throughout my day and keep things pretty simple. And like if something's not serving you, like just dump it out of your schedule. But again, you got to figure out what's going to work for yourself. For me, it's getting up, you know, a little on the earlier side and then smashing out those big priorities so that I'm in good shape come early mid-afternoon, that if something does come up and a problem I need to jump to, there's some capacity in the day. So like schedule your calendar out 60 to 70%, but leave some of that white space, because things will come up in business that you're gonna have to run to as a business owner, as a CEO, that you want to have a bit of capacity in your calendar for. And lastly, like just think what's your zone of genius too, right? Like for me, I would way rather coach our clients than be on sales calls all day with people who want to get into our coaching program. So that's something that I went out and hired out for. I'd rather spend our time with our members inside the community than go and sit on assessment calls on Zoom all day. So that's something that I had to move off my plate, right? And so you want to look at really what's taking your time and start allocating that out. But really look at your routine. For me too, one last takeaway, Sundays are like a hard shutdown. I'm not doing any business on Sundays. And Saturdays I work maybe 2-3 hours in the morning and then kill my phone by midday. And so my weekends typically consist of like a 1.5 days off rather than 2 full days off. So I think when you look at, it's like a sweet spot for me of being able to rest, but also have enough time to get goals done. And Saturday tends to be some things maybe that didn't get done throughout the week, that I just get up early, put on the English Premier League on soccer on the TV, and then get through a few things that I wasn't able to get through for the week. So that's what works for me. Hopefully you pulled out some value from this video. Again, if you found value, go ahead and like it. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, and I hope that you took some value out of this video. We'll see you guys on the next piece of content.